Hello and good evening, everybody. Tonight, what I thought would be a very good idea is I would like to try to conquer our third episode of Face Off. And essentially, what I am going to do tonight, the two artists that I'm going to be comparing are actually going to be the two artists that gave me the idea for this game, so I really have them to thank for it. And it's going to be two artists that originated right around the same time, the late 60s, early 70s. They started out very different. I mean, one started out as kind of more of a prog rock band in kind of the same league as, let's say, Yes and Rush. And the other one started out as kind of a straightforward rock band with some definite boogie influences. But as we kind of got to the late 70s, early 80s or so, they both had evolved into these big arena rock powerhouses. And those two artists are, of course, Styx and REO Speedwagon. So we have 12 rounds tonight, and I gotta tell you, I can only go as far as what I'm knowledgeable of. So with R.E.O. Speedwagon, I'm going to be ending with the Life as You Know It album from 1987. And with Styx, I'm going to be ending with the Edge of the Century album from 1990. The way this works is I compare the first album from both artists and declare a winner. Then I compare the second album from both artists and declare a winner. Then the third album from both artists, declare a winner, and I just keep going until it's over, and then we see who wins the most rounds. So let's go ahead and get started. We are going to start with the debut Styx album, entitled Styx, released in 1972, and the debut R.E.O. Speedwagon album, appropriately titled R.E.O. Speedwagon, released in the year 1971. And Styx kicks it off very, very well. As I said, they were really more of a prog rock band right there as opposed to a pop rock band. But it kicks off with Movement for the Common Man. Wow. 13-minute multi-part epic suite, and it is very much not what the band is well known for, but it is still very memorable and incredibly epic. I mean, I pretty much love all of these parts except Street Collage, which is basically just two guys talking in the street about the social structure. Kind of a waste there, but really, Children of the Land is awesome, Fanfare for the Common Man, and Mother Nature's Matinee are all awesome. Unfortunately, the rest of the album does not quite stack up as we have a ton of covers. But Best Thing is a really good song. It was written and sung by James Young and Dennis DeYoung. Now, looking over at R.E.O. Speedwagon, this is a much more consistent album. Do I have a track list here? Yes, I do. Gypsy's Woman's Passion is great. I love 157 Riverside Avenue, but one of the best songs they ever did, one of the most underrated songs they ever did was Anti-Establishment Man. Lay Me Down is a little bit more swinging, a little bit more bluesy, and it's a little bit more relaxed, but Sophisticated Lady is very fast. But it concludes with Dead at Last. 10-minute epic, very psychedelic in nature. I mean, heck, it sounds like Deep Purple of all people. And I just gotta say, the R.E.O. Speedwagon debut is a lot more consistent than the Styx debut. Yes, Kevin Cronin is not on this one. Terry Luttrell is the lead vocalist, but I've got to give this round to R.E.O. Speedwagon. Great albums by both artists, but R.E.O. Speedwagon edges it out. So let's get a scoreboard running right here. Round one goes to R.E.O. Speedwagon. Now we're going to move to round number two. And we're going to talk about the second Styx album, appropriately titled Styx II. And the second R.E.O. Speedwagon album, entitled R.E.O. TWO, and I see definite improvement from both artists on their sophomore effort. I mean, Styx, you can see right there, they have one of their biggest hit singles ever on this album, Lady. It also really dives into some very progressive multi-part numbers like A-Day, yeah. Sung by John Kuraleski, I think that's how you say that. It's a really underrated song, and again, it's got that very psychedelic feel to it. You Better Ask is not exactly my favorite. It's kind of annoying, in my opinion. But then we have Father OSA, sung by Dennis DeYoung. Very, very epic and very, very strong. The last two probably could have been a little bit better, but I do like I'm Gonna Make You Feel It. But looking over here on R.E.O. TWO, it absolutely blows Styx II out of the water. Styx II does have a few weak moments. R.E.O. TWO absolutely does not. Let Me Ride, love it. How the Story Goes, written by Gary Richrath, love it. Yes, we have a Chuck Berry cover on here. It's okay. It's gonna be all right. But Being Kind Can Hurt Someone Sometime is a very underrated R.E.O. Speedwagon song. It's dark and it's gloomy, but it just keeps building up and has a very explosive crescendo at the end. Totally love it. Music Man, great rocker. Like You Do, the last time I saw them in concert, I heard them play this for the very first time. I went absolutely nuts. Like You Do is fast, it's long, I love it. It's amazing. Flash Can Queen is probably one of the most forgettable songs on here, but still really good. But it concludes with Golden Country. And I have heard them play this one many a times. Golden Country is one of the best R.E.O. Speedwagon songs out there. It's an anti-Vietnam song. It is heavy. It has got some killer guitar work in the middle, and I am going to have to give this round once again to R.E.O. Speedwagon. So R.E.O. Speedwagon now has 2 points, and Styx has yet to make it onto the board. So let's see how they fare in round number 3. We have the third Styx album, The Serpent is Rising, versus the third R.E.O. Speedwagon album, Riding the Storm Out. And on R.E.O. TWO, R.E.O. Speedwagon did have a change in the lead vocalist. Terry Luttrell left and was replaced by Kevin Cronin. Well, Kevin Cronin apparently missed too many rehearsals, and he was replaced for the third R.E.O. Speedwagon album with Mike Murphy. So, yeah, 3 albums, 3 lead singers. What can I tell you? But looking over here on The Serpent is Rising, it kicks off with Witch Wolf, sung by J.Y. Young. Very, very good rocker and some really great keyboard work from Dennis DeYoung. I love The Grove of Eglinty. Very underrated song. Dennis DeYoung apparently hates this album. He even went as far as to say that it is the worst album ever recorded. I do not agree with him there at all. In fact, it's one of the better Styx albums. As Bad as This is a very, very slow and melodic song, and it's kind of dark. Well, part 1 is. Part 2 is called The Plexiglass Toilet, and it is totally ridiculous yet funny. Winner Take All and 22 Years are pretty straightforward. Winner Take All is sung by J.Y. Young. 22 Years is a duet between J.Y. and Dennis. But really, the magnum opus from The Serpent is Rising is the title track. Written and sung by John Kuralewski. Wow, it is dark and it is heavy. I really wish Riding the Storm Out fared a little bit better. It kicks off with the title track, which we all know. Do I have a track list here? Yes, I do. It's right there. It kicks off with the title track, which we all know from the radio. This version is the studio version. You're probably more familiar with the live version, but the studio version is a little bit softer and doesn't quite hit the mark. But I do love Whiskey Night, and I do love Find My Fortune, which is sung by Gary Richrath. But yeah, this album is a little bit too soft for me. They were really starting to hit their influence, or they're starting to really be influenced by other artists such as the Eagles, which I have never really cared for. But Son of a Poor Man is a great song. It's a little bit better with the version that Kevin sings. Kevin did record a version for Riding the Storm Out before he was fired from the band, and it's a lot better. But yeah, Riding the Storm Out is a little bit mediocre. I love Serpent is Rising. I am giving this round to Styx. So after round number 3, we have 1 point for Styx and 2 points for R.E.O. Speedwagon. Let's see how round number 4 stacks up. We have Man of Miracles by Styx and Lost in a Dream by R.E.O. Speedwagon. And I gotta be honest, as far as Man of Miracles goes, I first heard the title track. And the title track is beyond epic. The title track starts out very slow, but it keeps building up until once the guitars kick in, this thing is very fast, very aggressive, and very, very progressive as well. I love the title track. Unfortunately, the rest of the album doesn't quite do it for me the way the title track does. Dennis DeYoung really did not like the direction of the previous album, The Serpent is Rising, and he kind of softened his approach on this one, and it's really kind of a disappointment. R.E.O. Speedwagon, on the other hand, really stepped it up a notch. I thought their last album was a little bit too soft. This one has more of a punch to it. Give Me a Ride Roller Coaster, love it. I love Throw the Chains Away. You Can Fly sounds a lot like Golden Country, actually, which is why I love it. I do love the title track. The title track is absolutely kicking. The second side may not be quite as strong as the first, but Wild as the Western Wind, it is sung by Gary Richrath and Mike Murphy. It is a very catchy song. I'm sorry, the sound for Lost in a Dream is better than that of Man of Miracles, so I am going to give this round to R.E.O. Speedwagon. So, back here on the scoreboard, we have 3 rounds for R.E.O. Speedwagon, 2 rounds for Kiss. So let's see how round number 5 goes. We have Equinox by Kiss versus This Time We Mean It by R.E.O. Speedwagon. Because, apparently, they didn't mean it on their previous 4 albums. Apparently, those were just fake albums. This is the one that they really mean. This is the one that really matters. Yeah, I'll be the judge of that. But anyways, Styx with Equinox. This is really Dennis's album. He really steps it up, and he sings all of the songs except for Midnight Ride and Mother Dear. But Light Up is great. Lorelei is the big hit single off of Equinox. I love it. Okay, it starts out with the keyboards. It seems very fast and kind of has a staccato in it, but it kicks up once the guitar work starts coming in, and it's actually a lot heavier than the beginning would suggest. Mother Dear kicks off with the keyboards, and it also keeps building up and building up. Very underrated song. I have heard that John Kuralewski actually sings this one. I gotta be honest, it sounds like Dennis. If anyone out there can correct me or confirm that it is in fact John Kuralewski, then thank you very much, but I swear it sounds like Dennis, but whatever. But anyways, then we have Lonely Child, which, that one makes me a little uncomfortable, so I'm just gonna let that go. Midnight Ride is the one song that is sung by JY, and it's pretty good. Born for Adventure is pretty disposable, but Sweet Madam Blue, wow. That is one of the greatest Styx songs ever. Dennis totally owns this one. It has some really good guitar work in it. Starts out very soft. Actually, it sounds a lot like Beyond the Realms of Death by Judas Priest. But it's just another one of those songs, keeps building and building and building, and the ending is very explosive. I wish I could say the same for This Time We Mean It. But, I really do not like the sound on this one. Again, they were still trying to do that whole Eagles thing, and they're trying to blend country and rock, which I guess would make country rock. I'm not a huge fan of it. Reelin' I don't really like. Heading for a Fall is probably the best song on here. But yeah, you can see there really isn't that much. I guess Dance is alright, but I don't really like This Time We Mean It. I mean, it's definitely not a bad album or anything, but they've definitely done better. I am giving this round to Styx. So Equinox is going to beat This Time We Mean It. I guess you should have meant it more. Obviously not enough. We now have 2 rounds for Styx and 3 rounds for R.E.O. Speedwagon. So now we are going to come to round number 6. And we're going to look at the 6th album from both artists. We have Crystal Ball by Styx, and then we have R.E.O. by R.E.O. Speedwagon. Yeah, don't ask me to make sense out of those titles. I can't do it. Both of these represented a change in direction for both bands. In Crystal Ball, John Kuralewski left the band and was replaced by Tommy Shaw, who is now pretty much the front man of Styx, I guess you could say. I hate that term, though. And R.E.O. saw the departure of Mike Murphy, and he was replaced by returning member Kevin Cronin. This is now the second time Kevin Cronin's been in the band, and he is going to be in the band from here on out all the way to the present day. So anyways, Crystal Ball kicks off very, very well with Put Me On. It's sung by JY and Dennis. Got a nice little keyboard solo at the beginning, and again, this thing is heavy and it's fast. I love it. Mademoiselle is the very first song Tommy Shaw ever sang for the band. It's a little bit slower. I still like it. Jennifer is one of Dennis's. Some more questionable lyrics. I'm not going to say too much more. But then the big hit single from this one is the title track, Crystal Ball, written and sung by Tommy Shaw. Kind of slow, but they played it a lot in concert, and I do enjoy it. Then we have Shoes, another Tommy Shaw song. This one's a lot more fast, a lot more heavy. I really do love Shoes. This Old Man, not too much into that one. I mean, I've heard people praise it, and that is absolutely great. I am glad they love it. Not really my cup of tea. Then we have Claire de Lune Ballerina. It is the 7-minute closer of the album, and it actually does kind of do it for me. It's another one of those songs, much like Sweet Madam Blue, starts out soft and it just keeps building and building, which is why I love it. R.E.O. Speedwagon, on the other hand, they were still kind of doing that whole Eagles thing around this time. Even though Kevin Cronin is now the official lead singer of the band, this album is actually co-sung by himself and Gary Richrath. Yeah, Kevin only takes lead vocals on 4 songs. Keep Pushing, I Believe Our Time Is Gonna Come, Any Kind of Love, and Lightning. Yeah, Flying Turkey Trot is an instrumental, and the other 3 songs are either duets or they are completely sung by Gary Richrath. And there is some very good music on here. Keep Pushing, Any Kind of Love, Only a Summer Love was great. I've never been a huge fan of I Believe Our Time Is Gonna Come, but I love Breakaway. The live version of Flying Turkey Trot is a lot better, but Lightning closes it out very well. I gotta say, the production is kind of flat. The sound is kind of flat. Great music, but the sound could have been better. I think Styx is going to win this round. So Crystal Ball has defeated R.E.O. So we now have a tie. We have 3 rounds for Styx and 3 rounds for R.E.O. Speedwagon. So now we come to the 7th round. And this is where both bands hit it off. This is where both bands had their big breakthrough. We have The Grand Illusion by Styx versus You Can Tune a Piano, but You Can't Tune a Fish by R.E.O. Speedwagon. Wow. 2 amazing albums. I mean, let's just take a look at what Styx has to offer. We have the title track, The Grand Illusion. We have Fooling Yourself, The Angry Young Man, which is one of my favorite songs ever. Superstars, love it. And of course, we have Come Sail Away, Come Sail Away, Come Sail Away with me, yeah. And yeah, we all know that song. They play it all the time in concert, and I absolutely love it. I am throwing my arms up in the air. I am singing along. I am putting my foot on the seat in front of me. It's amazing. I know it's overplayed. It's amazing. The second side could have been a little bit better, but Miss America and Man in the Wilderness are pretty strong. But as far as R.E.O. Speedwagon goes, it kicks off with Roll with the Changes. Oh yeah, they really stepped it up on this one. This one's a lot heavier. It sounds a lot more like R.E.O. TWO as opposed to the previous 2 albums. Love Roll with the Changes. Gary kills it. Kevin kills it. Kevin is an amazing vocalist. I know some people don't really care for him because what he later did with the band, but I gotta say, he is on fire here. Time for Me to Fly. If we're going by iTunes, that is my most played song ever. Love Time for Me to Fly. I don't care it's acoustic. I don't care it's kind of a ballady sort of song. I mean, it's about breaking up with a girl, not getting together with a girl, but still. Two of my favorite songs ever. They play them every single time in concert. The rest of the album is not quite as good, unfortunately. It's not bad. It's still a great album. I love Sing to Me. I love Blazing Your Old Trail Again. I love the Unidentified Flying Tuna Trot. Say You Love Me or Say Goodnight is also pretty good, but it's no match for The Grand Illusion. Oh, I hate that I have to knock that one out. But The Grand Illusion is just the stronger album. This was a tough call, but I really got to give it to The Grand Illusion. Fun fact, back in 2021, I saw Styx at DPAC in Durham, North Carolina. After they finished playing The Grand Illusion, Lawrence Gowan, who is Dennis DeYoung's replacement, he gave a shout out to a very enthusiastic fan in the balcony that he could see, banging his head and dancing along as the song was going on. Yeah, that was me. I've been trying to find that clip on YouTube. Nobody captured it, but it's okay. So that round went to Styx, and we now have 4 rounds for Styx and 3 rounds for R.E.O. Speedwagon. So we now come to round number 8. We have Pieces of 8 by Styx versus 9 Lives by R.E.O. Speedwagon. And both of these albums represented a time when both bands were going to pursue a much more commercial direction in the future. It was really the last time they put out full-fledged hard rock albums. I mean, Pieces of 8 has some good stuff on it. I love Great White Hope. I'm Okay is good. I do not care for Sing for the Day. It's okay. I just don't like it. You may like it. That's fine. I don't. I do not like Lord of the Rings, but Blue Collar Man, we all know that one. It's great. Love Queen of Spades. Renegade, we've all heard it. It's great. And then the title track, sung and written by Dennis, concludes things very, very well. I know that Tommy Shaw has the 2 hit singles from this album, Blue Collar Man and Renegade. He wrote and sang both of them, but I really think this is Dennis's album. And I think it's the last album he was ever on before he totally flipped his lid. But looking at 9 Lives, 9 Lives is a much more consistently good album. I mean, we have Heavy on Your Love, Drop It in Old Disguise. Only the Strong Survive is a very underrated R.E.O. Speedwagon song. Even Easy Money, not exactly a very high-profile song. Not a lot of people know that one. I actually like it quite a bit. And I own this album on vinyl. It sounds a lot better on vinyl. We do have a Chuck Berry cover, Rock and Roll Music. Yes, another Chuck Berry cover. But it concludes very well with Back on the Road Again, written and sung by bassist Bruce Hall. And from here on out, I think there were only maybe 1 or 2 albums that Bruce didn't sing on. He would typically sing 1 or 2 songs on all the following albums. Another close call, but I've got to give this one to R.E.O. Speedwagon. It's a much more consistent album. It's definitely a stronger album, in my opinion. Pieces of 8 is very good, but it does have those 2 songs that I don't really care for. So, yeah, very tough call. R.E.O. Speedwagon wins. We now have a tie. 4 rounds for R.E.O. Speedwagon and 4 rounds for Styx. So now we come to a very, very interesting point in both bands' careers. We have 1979's Cornerstone by Styx, and we have 1981's High Infidelity by R.E.O. Speedwagon. Both of these were changes in the band's directions. Both of them were feeling the success, and they started adapting their sound to kind of sound like other music that was very popular at the time. Not a fan of that. So yeah, both of these albums are major downgrades from what came before it. But looking over here at Cornerstone, Lights is okay. Why Me is okay. Babe is incredibly catchy. I am going to give them that. It's an incredibly catchy song. Unfortunately, it's synth pop. Yeah, Dennis didn't do too well here. I do not like Never Say Never. I do not like Boat on the River. I really don't like Boat on the River. Borrowed Time, though, is a good song. I do really love that one. And for a little bit, Styx was opening their concert with that one, their shows with that one. And I was the only one in the crowd who knew the lyrics, and I was proud to say it. Everybody else around me is like, what is this song? Why is this guy going nuts over it? Yeah, that's right. But yeah, the rest of the album is pretty disposable. Nothing too memorable about any of those songs, in my opinion. The only really, really legitimately good one, in my opinion, is Borrowed Time. On the other hand, even though this is not a great R.E.O. Speedwagon album, I gotta say the songwriting is a lot better. Don't Let 'Em Go, even though it's a pop song, it is very catchy. It's usually the opening number for every R.E.O. Speedwagon concert. I think they've been doing that, actually, since the album's release, so that's pretty impressive. But yes, I am clapping my hands and dancing around and singing and everything. I love it. Keep on Loving You. Yeah, it's a ballad. I like it. I'm sorry. It's a catchy song. I enjoy it. I love Follow My Heart. I never thought I would like In Your Letter. I have really warmed up to it in the past couple of years or so. Again, it's not a good song, but it's catchy. Take It On the Run. If it's on the radio, I'm going to listen to it. It may not be what I'm always reaching for, but I am going to listen to it. I do not like Tough Guys, but Out of Season, Shaking It Loose, Someone Tonight, also sung by Bruce, and I Wish You Were Here, are pretty decent. The only song that is an absolute stinker, in my opinion, is Tough Guys. I am going to give this round to R.E.O. Speedwagon. I would much rather listen to High Infidelity than Cornerstone. So, we now come to the leaderboard. We now have 5 rounds for R.E.O. Speedwagon and 4 rounds for Styx. So that brings us to round 10. We have Paradise Theater by Styx versus Good Trouble by R.E.O. Speedwagon. And both artists still kind of maintain the whole pop rock direction they established in the previous album because they did have success with it. Paradise Theater kicks off very well with Rockin' the Paradise. Oh yeah, I love Rockin' the Paradise. Even the studio version is good. They play it live all the time now. And yeah, that is one of the ones that I really, really, really get excited for. Love Too Much Time on My Hands. That is definitely the big hit single off this album. Written and sung by Tommy Shaw. It is a winner. And it's even better in concert, I'm telling you. The middle of the album does kind of suffer. I mean, The Best of Times is a good song, which is also by Dennis DeYoung, but it really doesn't get that good until Snowblind. It is sung by Tommy and JY. This one is a little bit more harder edged than everything else that came before it. I do love Snowblind. It's about the downfalls of cocaine usage, from what I understand. Halfpenny Two Penny closes things out very, very strongly. Written and sung by James J.Y. Young, it is probably one of the more harder-edged songs on Paradise Theater. I enjoy it. Good Trouble, on the other hand, is kind of flat. It's not very memorable. Keep the Fires Burning is really one of the only songs on here that I truly, truly remember. But yeah, it's a very mediocre R.E.O. Speedwagon album. There's really not much on here that I really point to and say, yes, I want to be listening to that. It's way too glammy. They're definitely trying to, again, capitalize on the whole pop rock thing. And I've got to be honest, I have got to give this round to Styx. Paradise Theater is going to trump Good Trouble. So, coming over here, we now have a tie once again. 5 rounds for Styx and 5 rounds for R.E.O. Speedwagon. Now we come to round 11. We have Kilroy Was Here by Styx and Wheels Are Turnin' by R.E.O. Speedwagon, also known as that album with Can't Fight This Feelin' on it. So yeah, I guess, spoiler alert, this one has Can't Fight This Feelin' on it. There is a really good song on here. It is the opener. It is called I Don't Wanna Know. It's kind of an attempt by the band to return to their early days, and it's more of a hard rockin' song that has kind of a boogie feel to it, and I like it. I know a lot of people don't like this album. I do at least like that kickoff sound. It sounds like something from the early 70s, which is why I'm really drawn to it. One Lonely Night, Through the Window are pretty disposable. Rock and Roll Star, I actually do have a soft spot for. Live Every Moment, not really. But yes, we now come to track 6, Can't Fight This Feeling. We've all heard it. We all especially hear it on Valentine's Day. I'm not going to say much more about it except this. Is it a good song? No. But, again, I do think it's well written. I do think it's catchy. Even though it's bad, I still actually somewhat kind of enjoy it, and I do have a soft spot for it. I'm going to be honest, if I'm in the car and it comes on the radio, or if it comes up in my CD rotation, I'm definitely really going to listen to it. I'm definitely not just going to tune out and just let it pass. I'm sorry, I really don't mind it. The rest of the album is kind of flat, but I do kind of like the title track. Now, I am going to say this. I do not think Wheels Are Turning is a great R.E.O. Speedwagon album. I do not think it's a great rock album, but it's better than Kilroy Was Here, and here's why. It is still at least a rock album. Kilroy Was Here, I absolutely hate. I don't even know why I own this one. I think it was a Christmas present, actually, I want to say. I could be wrong, but this is not rock music. This is disco and synth pop. I hate everything about it. I hate Mr. Roboto. I hate Cold War. I hate Don't Let It End. The only thing that is even remotely passable is JY's Heavy Metal Poisoning, but still, it's definitely got that synth pop edge to it, which I cannot excuse. I don't know what this is supposed to be. Apparently, it was intended to be some kind of concept album, but I'll tell you what it's not, and that's good. I am giving this round a Wheels Are Turning. Wheels Are Turning is mediocre. Kilroy Is Here is just bad. So we now have 6 rounds for R.E.O. Speedwagon and 5 rounds for Styx. Well, we could potentially have a tie, so let's see how this one goes. This is going to be as far as I go. We have Edge of the Century by Styx, and we have Life as We Know It by R.E.O. Speedwagon. And I do not exactly like either of these. Looking over here, by this point in the band, Tommy Shaw had left to join Ted Nugent and the damn Yankees, and he was replaced by Glenn Burtnick, and not trying to rip on him or anything, but he's just not quite as talented a singer as Tommy was. I don't mind Show Me the Way, I really don't. But the rest of this is just not doing it. It is way too flat. There's not a single song on here that I love. I can say this. There are a few songs on Life as We Know It that I can tolerate and I actually do enjoy. And they would be That Ain't Love and Variety Tonight. I actually do really love those songs. I think they're catchy. Variety Tonight is written by Neil Doughty, and That Ain't Love is written by Kevin Cronin, who wrote most of the hit singles by this point in the band. This would be the last album with Gary Richrath, may he rest in peace. He and the drummer were replaced after this album, and Alan Gratzer and Gary Richrath were replaced by Dave Amato and Brian Hint shortly after this one, and they were sadly missed, but this is a weak R.E.O. Speedwagon, but it does have at least some songs I like, so Life as We Know It is going to defeat Edge of the Century, giving R.E.O. Speedwagon the win. The total score is 7 rounds for R.E.O. Speedwagon, 5 rounds for Styx. Gallant effort by Styx, but R.E.O. Speedwagon is going to win. And actually, every album that came after this one, I have heard bits and pieces of all of them. And if the rest of the album is anything, or if the rest of the albums are anything like if they're representative of what I've heard, that would not affect the score at all. R.E.O. Speedwagon would still win. So the winner is R.E.O. Speedwagon. Anyways, thank you for joining me tonight on this episode of Face Off. It was a great competition, and both bands gave a gallant effort. Next time, we're going to take a look at everybody's favorite Demon Baby. But until then, have a very pleasant evening.